Yeah. Yeah. Hello. Welcome back to PepTalks Podcast. This is your host, Pep. Welcome back, guys. This is PepTalks Podcast, like I had just introduced it. A little bit nervous getting back into this, not gonna lie. This is I probably missed 1 week right now, even though I said I wouldn't. But, trying to make up for it. Right now, we're coming off of Labor Day weekend, so I decided, hey, you know what? We're going to do like a little Labor Day weekend recap because it was pretty cool. It was a very interesting weekend. Well, right now, as you can see, we're out of the office. We're out of the set where we usually are. I am on a work trip right now. Came to do some coaching here in Philadelphia. The historic state of here in Pennsylvania, the historic state of Pennsylvania. I landed in Philly, and now I'm in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It's about probably like a 2-hour drive. That it wasn't too bad. The flights were just a lot crazy trying to get just close to this area, so it definitely was a good move to just land in Philly and then come over here. And yeah, right now we're in the hotel room. As much as I would want to be able to bring all the stuff, like the whole set, bring the couch and everything, we got to do with what we have, and I think it's going to be pretty interesting. This will be probably 1 or 2 episodes that we do here, just because of how long I'll be staying. It'll give me a chance to do one for the next week, the following week. So you'll see this set. Maybe we'll try another part of the room. Just got to work with the lighting. I like this little style right here. A little bit old school, but I'm enjoying it so far. It's a little quaint place. It's very quiet, nice little town. And yeah, actually, let's do a fun fact of Hershey, Pennsylvania. Now, there is Hershey World, where I think it's like the amusement park that's here. And yeah, like one of the facts about them is Hershey Park is the most attended privately owned amusement park in North America each year. There's a 5'7" bronze statue of Milton Hershey at the entrance to the park. 5'7". Short Kings. It's your come up. I'm just kidding. I'm a little bit taller than 5'7". But yeah, that's a fun fact about Hershey, Pennsylvania at the Hershey Park here. I actually saw it today. Not like a regular attendance. I was looking for a Chick-fil-A, and I guess there's a Chick-fil-A in the Hershey Park. And there I am driving past closing time. I don't know how none of the security guards saw me on the way in, but on the way out, boy, did I have some explaining to do. It was okay, though. They understood. I was like, dude, I just have to let this legs to you. No, just kidding. And yeah, well, now we're here back at the hotel. It's going to be nice. It's about to be probably like 3 days here, and then we're going to head out back home. But yeah, let's get to the weekend. This weekend was Labor Day weekend, and it felt quick, but at the same time, one more day would have kind of like made the trip a little bit too much. So I feel like it was the right amount of vacation time. Was able to go to the beautiful state of Nashville. Beautiful city of Nashville and the beautiful state of Tennessee. And yeah, it was my first time. I honestly wasn't expecting anything, but it was just very interesting how everything played out. It seems a lot at first, but once you're kind of in the flow of it, you kind of learn to move around the people and kind of acknowledge that most of the bars are kind of the same. You're just, it's good country music. Most of the people that play there were actually really good. I was very, very impressed. And yeah, it's just the concept of a block, basically, or like a whole street that turns into just a full-on like bar hopping area where there's also some stores stayed open pretty late. Then you have like the Canes that stays up, and Adam feeding the whole Broadway. There was a festival. I don't know if it was about food, but there was a lot of food trucks. I didn't see the other part of the festival, and so. But there was a lot of different cultures selling their food. We had some gyros, but there was like grilled cheeses, some barbecue. So I guess you could only say there was like some diversity, but some is better than none. And yeah, one of my favorite parts was there's this ice cream shop that will make the key lime pies, and I'm a big fan of key lime pie. And what they'll do is they'll slice it and they'll dip it in Belgian chocolate, and then they just freeze it and serve it as like a popsicle. But it's just it's not a huge, it's a very generous amount of key lime pie, and yeah, like it's just a nice outer shell of Belgium chocolate. Probably woke up any diabetes in me, but it's very, very fucking good. Another cool bar was, I think one of my favorite one, I'm not gonna lie, was the Morgan Wallen one. It was, I'm telling you, these concepts of an actual building belonging to like a bar. It's just the floors of stages and bars, and then you get like a mezzanine. And then you get another floor of another stage, the bars, and then you get like another floor, and then it's of that stage you just get to look down on it, and then you get to the roof, which is another bar, which that's where we were at. And yeah, like it's sick setup. I can only imagine the financial gain that comes into play, but I bet it was a lot to get it started, to get it up and running. Construction must have took forever, and I feel like a lot of these buildings are being reused, obviously, and so like to take what they were and build them into what they are now, I bet it took a lot of planning, a lot of designing. The designs were cool. Like on his, we were at the top at the rooftop bar, and on top of the bar, the wallpaper was actual, like in different fonts, like Western style, more country style, where different songs of his going across the stages, I guess, had like parts of like songs that were his, as a friend pointed out. And so you're just like, wow, like what can become of a guy who just probably likes to sing, likes to have fun doing the music stuff, now is a whole entrepreneur, a business owner, and owns a building that is a bar, essentially. And honestly, now that I think about it, on Saturday, like the line was out, like to the end of the block, passing like probably like four other little buildings, or big buildings. They're pretty big. And now that I see it the whole way through, we went all the way from bottom to top through the stairs, which are a pain, but there's a lot of stairs in Nashville. I'm not gonna lie. There's apparently, like I said, they're just reusing these buildings as bars, floors and floors of bars. So if the elevator's taking too long, you're gonna have to hike up those stairs to paradise, wherever you want to go. And so yeah, now that as I was there at that bar, I started to think like if the line last night was all the way to the corner, they must have had this bar filled, like this whole building filled. And to fill a building of just people drinking, like of bars, we don't have. We don't really have anything close to that over there in Atlanta, where like one entity could fulfill like the whole city. And this is like a bunch of these bars are popping up where they're like 4 floors, 3 floors of just the same thing, but just stacked on top of each other. Like it's just one big building of booze and music. It just essentially is a good idea, and it was a good time. I'm not, like I said, I wasn't expecting anything, and I'm very happy that I got to go, and with the people, it was cool. Shout out to my boy Allen. It's his birthday weekend, and he was the reason why we all got together, and I honestly did have a good time. I feel like it's good to Jimmy, my roommate, and my close friend. He mentioned like we always need a reset, and I think that is true. I think I had have a lot of plans, have everything that had happened the weeks before, and it's just kind of like it's a nice little pause, and starting to try to fall into the routine of like appreciating where I'm at the moment, being in the moment, being more attentive to what I'm doing and enjoying every part of it. So yeah, I definitely took that into consideration when I was out there, and I said, you know what, you can't fix anything back home, you can't worry about the future, that's already been handled, like you just gotta chill. And I think that was the best part of it, that I wasn't stressing over anything about what was happening. I was just going with the flow, and it's very cool. A lot of people did see for the first time how it is being out, and you kind of, they're all like kind of like they're lit and everything, and being like I'm not fully sober, but not being in that space where they are, I still like to connect, but it was just, I could tell that it was a little weird of like, oh, like yeah, like how are you functioning right now? And I think that part was super easy because the music was pretty good. I'm not a big country fan, but these guys were mixing country with a bunch of different shit. So I was feeling that, and yeah, like the environment is cool. I'm not used to being around. How could I say this appropriately? You know, the wow. I just put myself in a noodle boodle. Okay, basically, yeah, I'm just not around too many of the pale types. But it was very interesting to see how music kind of like does connect differently through people. The way these guys were just kind of like mixing either rock or some type of R&B into their country was very very interesting to watch. Everybody doing their craft and just being happy to being there really puts that into you. It puts you in a good mood and a good headspace to think like, wow, like they're here to do something great, and we get to watch it. So that was overall. I think that's what Nashville really was for me. There's a lot more to it. I feel like there's always something else that you could find in that little city, but it is developing, and I think that's something interesting to see. That like we see the gentrification happening over in Atlanta, which now it's a little bit more developed. Now it's been going on for a couple of years. Where there I see it like in the initial states of what we had back home. That's what they're going through right now. So yeah, any of the investor guys, anybody listening that likes to do like the investing maybe in other states would be a good idea, because I definitely think that's gonna become even a bigger boom. And yeah, like their economy is literally being built by these bars, by these establishments that have been there for years. But I was talking to a Uber driver there, somebody who was a local, and he was mentioning like, I mean, you're looking at this from like 2012, 15, where it's just started to become that like Nashville was the spot to go for A, B, and C. Where right now, like, yeah, like you go and you're going to have a good time. You're going to get drunk. You're going to, see a lot of cowboy boots, see a lot of cowboy hats, a lot of cowgirls. So, yeah, it's just cool to kind of like stand back and see like, oh, this is still being developed. Like I can come probably 2 years from now and I don't know what's going on, because all of these bars, the Morgan Wallen, the Old Red, a Barstool, just it looks like they just got, well, not just got there, but they're fairly new, cool ass bar. I'm telling you, like the financial gain on these guys, like they're very intuitive with how they're going about it. Their marketing is insane. Like these guys at Barstool have all of their alcohol and liquor that they are sponsored by being sold there. Bank. And then they're really big on their merch. They have merch bars in the actual bar. So you got one upstairs and downstairs. And yeah, just seeing all of that just kind of puts you into that perspective of like, dude, anywhere that you see a little boom, if you get in at the right time, you just got to kind of read it. You got to time it well, and it should be something that could be done. And so, yeah, I think that's a nice little recap of what Nashville was. Food was cool. We had some brunch at some really like fancy places, but other than that, was a good weekend for football. We got to see the Dogs win. Great win. It was a good game. We were able to see it by the river across the street from Nissan Stadium. Crazy. We had crazy seats throughout the weekend, all these settings. Nashville is coming up. I definitely recommend it if you've never been. That was my first time for like fun, for like recreation. I had passed and I had been in the city just working, and I would always just head back. Never really had a time to go and explore Broadway, but I'm glad I did on this one because it was just straight up, just got there to have fun. So that was a good recap of Nashville. And like I said, I had planned to do like a podcast, and it would have been cool. And it's not the last time that I'll ever be to Nashville. I would definitely want to do one around there. Airbnb was insane, but I feel like if it's something that like is so natural and I'm enjoying the moment, I don't really want to I feel like I'm exploiting people for like the cool moment that we're about to have, or be like, hey, like I gotta get this down. So definitely, if it's not the right vibe, I feel like I won't bring out the podcast stuff, even though people kind of like, oh yeah, I definitely want to be on it. It's different once the camera's on, and you don't want that to go away. But in the future, hopefully we get to have one more out of state podcast. Would be cool. Different settings. And yeah, definitely happy birthday again, Alan. It was cool. We actually had also yesterday, Monday, was our draft for our fantasy league. I've been in this fantasy league for since 2018 was my first season playing here, and I mean this league has been around for a long time. So yeah, another round, another year. Finished probably like in seventh, from fifth, 5 to 7, about that. Last year, the year before was third place. I don't remember anything else before that. I think I lost the like 2-3 years ago. And yeah, it's gonna be like whatever number of year that I'll be playing at this league. It was an interesting draft. Sometimes I'm really bad at following up weeks before on how the actual draft was, who's doing good on what. But I was able to kind of look a little deeper this year, like over the weekend, and kind of had some pinpoints of what I wanted to do. First pick, I was the 5th pick. And then it would go to I think the 6th pick after, and it would just bounce back and forth. We're gonna see probably a couple. I would be cool to see some of the guys come on, or when we meet for Sunday games, or for a whole football Sunday. It would be cool to have maybe a panel watching a game or talking about whatever's going on that week. Maybe have segments. It won't be the whole episode, but it could be segments, because these guys can talk. They talk their stats, and it's just interesting to see them go to work on it. So it would be, we could do a little section where we're talking about fantasy. Maybe people can come on here and get some tips. We never know, but that's something else that's going to be going on in these next couple months, in these couple weeks. I can keep you guys updated on how I'm doing. I know that it's basically a week-by-week thing where we, from the pool of what is the NFL, we grab whatever players we want. I think we're at 10 players, so that's 10 teams. Each team, I forgot the amount that is. We just added a super flex, which is one more guy to your roster. So, but yeah, basically you make your team and you play against one of the 10 for once every week. And then around right before playoffs are being done, we will go into our playoffs, which are just basically up until the first team starts to get eliminated. We will already be close to being done. Just because, if you don't have those players because their team was cut from, didn't make it to playoffs, or they didn't do good at the playoffs, you can't keep playing if you lose all your players, because every player, you could have 2 players from the Baltimore Ravens or 1 player from Chiefs, and they lose. God forbid they lose just because I have, Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. Great duo. I've had Patrick Mahomes for probably 4 years. Not in a row, but since I've started playing, it has always been an effective player. And yeah, that's a good little opening to what fantasy would be like this year. Very excited to see. I hope I don't lose. Apparently, our last place will have to dye their hair. So, and apparently, I mean, they sometimes we're not too strict on the punishment going through. I think the only thing close to it is that most of the time or every year, the loser will also host the Super Bowl. So I mean, you gotta feed a couple guys and their +1s. Pretty good punishment, if you ask me. And you gotta be around them. Yeah, just kidding, guys. But yeah, that's where we're at. We're in Nashville again. Write your shit down. This is cool. It's like journaling. I wrote something. Well, I thought about something today, and I wanted to read it out loud as a quote. And I guess we can kind of dissect it a little bit before the video ends. It goes, life feels like it's falling apart, but watching it build back up is just amazing. I was talking to myself at the time when we were driving. It was so cool seeing how the different landscape. I've been in basically 3 different states in the last over the weekend and now. So it's just cool. I was driving yesterday. I'm driving today. Different interstates, different vehicles, different. Yesterday was with a lot of people. I've been around with a lot of people this weekend to going on a basically, my first solo trip. Traveling by myself, getting everything ready. But it was cool. And I feel like that's kind of what it is these past few weeks, stuff has changed, and I've had to kind of feel my back against the wall after a couple years of feeling some type of balance. you feel that imbalance, and it kind of wakes you back up, and you're up and at 'em. But yeah, I think right now I'm watching it build back up. Like, a pure example is just how everything has been rolling so easily. Yeah, there's a few couple stumbles on like work here and there, um, that kind of bring me down. Have been bringing me down the past couple of days, but it's just it's stuff that you can figure it out, and it's gonna have a solution more than a consequence, as long as everything is done correctly and the best that could be done. So yeah, that's kind of like where I'm seeing it right now. Everything was kind of a really smooth transition, and from the weekend into what was today, even though it was just landed into Atlanta yesterday, unpacked, kind of settled down for a little bit, back at it again in the morning to go to the airport. Flight was around 7 in the morning, so it was an early day. Go get the car. Had to get the car out of like the city and then drive over here. So wanted to get started on all of that, and we're here now. And I think that's where the building back up is kind of like coming. I feel like there could be a lot to worry about, but I'm not, and I'm not gonna question it. I feel like my mind or my body is kind of telling me like, just hold on, like it's gonna get figured out. You just gotta kind of have a little bit of patience, and I'm trying to just work through it day by day. And I feel like that's something that a lot of people talk to me about, that they're like, well, I've been wanting to change something, or I want to find something that kind of like breaks the routine, or like helps me focus on finding what I want to do, because I don't know what I want to do. And I think sometimes adversity like will definitely spark like a new thing in you. And so it's basically that, get out of your comfort zone. I feel like as soon as you kind of stop the comfort from sitting on top of you, it'll let you kind of like squirm around, and there's gonna be some mistakes, but as long as you're trying to be as careful as possible, not risking it all the time. You don't have to like throw all your chips in every single time. There is something called strategy, and if you put it into play correctly, it could give you really, really beneficial results. So yeah, like, I think it's just being out there and hoping for the best. Even though shit can get stirred up, you kind of have to kind of acknowledge the fact that it could be a lot worse. I hate to tell people that all the time, and I don't want them to feel like nothing, what they're going through isn't a problem, but it just really comes down to it, like, is this gonna end it? No, most of the time it won't. This won't be the reason you sell your house, or this won't be the reason you don't eat tomorrow. Like, a lot of these things can be just simple changes, maybe a little bit of sacrifice, but it can be done. And I'm seeing that more every day. Things that I put on the back burner for so many time, I can't believe that they could be so easy. It could be as just believing in it for a little bit and putting a little effort into either saving money to go on that trip, or saving some time for yourself to read, to get a new hobby, to get a new skill, to be coached. It's just all a matter of, I think, starting it and watching it, watching the fruit of your labor be harvested. And I think that's something that's could be something that I can attest to at this moment in my life, and it's very, very exciting stuff. Basically that, and enjoy everything. I think that's something that I'm trying to do. Everything that I'm doing, if I'm eating, enjoy what I'm eating. If I'm watching something, I acknowledge everything, the design, the time it took to record it. Like right now, I've been into a lot of comedy. I think about how they build the joke, how they, and it's just things by, whenever it gets hard, you'll focus on what's the problem, why it's so severe. But when you're relaxing, you should also think about, like, wow, I'm blessed to be able to relax. I'm blessed to have some time to myself to slow down. And I think that's what I'm trying to do more and more. The expect nothing and appreciate everything. I had a friend of mine asked me that this weekend, like, was it what you expected? And when usually I do expect things, and it's that horrible moment when it's not what you expected, that sucks. And I tried that of just going with it, and it was fun as long as I was with the people that I enjoyed being with. it was definitely a good time, and I recommend just letting go. Like, if somebody is telling you, like, hey, like, they took out of their time to plan something, and you had no intention of planning anything or had no idea, just go with it. You already hang out with them, so you have something in common. I don't think they'll lead you in something bad, and you're on vacation. Anything you do is fun. You can make it fun. It's just the attitude you have. Hopefully, it's a good one. But yeah, we're 25 minutes in. Beautiful, beautiful episode. I think it's a good little recap of what's going on. Like I said, this will be probably one of two that you get to see that you will see outside of the regular studio. That is until I go back home, and then by next week we should be recording back at home. Again, this was PepTalks Podcast. I'm very, very happy. I hope everybody had a great Labor Day weekend. Got to get back to it, guys. We got to get back on that grind. September's here. Autumn is coming. Today was the last day of it being an 8 p.m. sunset in Atlanta. So a lot of changes coming. It's going to be a new, different season. It's going to be about the last 2 quarters of the year here, and then we're back into the cold January 2025. Jeez. I can already see it come across the door. Again, thank you for watching. This was PepTalks Podcast. Pep Talks with himself. There might be a time where I make this into a playlist of all of my solo podcasts, and maybe we would get to see the evolution of what either my vocabulary has been or my cadence. Maybe I'm a little bit more assertive and not saying I had me and a friend were listening back to my first one, and yeah, the amount of like if we had a drinking game, he said it would be a dangerous drinking game just because how much I had. However, I feel like it's growth, and I'm very happy I get to see it, and you guys get to join with me, whoever's watching. Again, I appreciate everybody who's commented, who's liked. I appreciate the guy, all the people who come up to me and tell me what they like about the show, give me their opinions, and I appreciate it. And I'm gonna try to keep doing this for you guys, trying to keep doing this for me, for the love of podcasting. I'm glad that people are starting to get a little bit more into it. A lot of people have told me, like, hey, you're probably one of the only ones I listen to. But I'm starting to get into this and that, and I feel like if you don't read a lot of people don't read. Podcast is a cool way to get into other people's worlds and learn about them. I've learned about comedy through a lot of these comedians that have cool podcasts. So, yeah, I think it's just something that I enjoy, and hopefully I get better at, and you guys get to enjoy that with me. Once again, this was PepTalks Podcast, and I appreciate you guys being here. Thank you so much. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Or if you're watching this in the morning, hope you have a good day. Saludos.